everything pretty. Unless you're talking about the bridge and seaport. Even from the seats in the upper decks, you can see the seashore. Tailgate function with the carne asada. Just walk from the tribal building for the Padres, I'm honored. Yeah, cause for the 619, we'll knock you down. Anything for the Brown, put it on the town. Started back rocking the Brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Talking Friars pregame show for October 12th, 2022. I'm your host, Ben Fadden. The Padres and the Dodgers tonight. 5:37 is the first pitch. It's an hour, kicked up an hour compared to last night. It's going to be a little weird. They're probably going to have, one game will be on Fox, one game will be on FS1. Don't know if they'll keep that game on Fox, the Braves-Phillies game, but that's what's happening today. Braves-Phillies was supposed to start a little bit after 1:30, I believe, today, but that game has been delayed, and that game's probably going to start around 4:30, I think. I think that's the last update that I saw. The Padres game, though, with the weather and all that, it's fine. So this Padres game should get started on FS1 at 5:37. It'll be the same TV team: Adam Amin, AJ Pierzynski, Tom Verducci. You can listen to the radio, obviously, Jesse and Tony on 97.3 The Fan. But tonight, it's a big night. It's the biggest game for the Padres this season, right? In the postseason, the biggest game of the year is the next game. That's what it kind of feels like, especially when the Padres go down 0-1 in this series like they did, losing last night. You go down 0-2 tonight, and now you have to win 3 straight games. And I know we can be confident in Blake Snell and in Joe Musgrove and probably Yu Darvish if it gets to a game 5 on short rest, 3 days rest probably. That's still very hard to beat a Dodgers team. The Dodgers, they're a very good team. They won 111 games or whatever it was for a reason. They're a very good team. So just because you have good starting pitching out there, that does not guarantee a win for you. I know that puts the Padres in a very good spot, having Yu Darvish on the mound tonight, or having him on the mound for like a game 5, or having Joe Musgrove on the mound for game 4. That's what it looks like it'll line up as. Blake Snell was announced yesterday as the game 3 starter. But again, it doesn't guarantee a win. So tonight, if they can even the series, like tonight is obviously the biggest game of this series, I feel like, right now. I mean, you win, the series is tied 1-1, and it turns into a best of 3. If you lose, now you're down 0-2, and you literally have to win the rest of the way. You have to beat the Dodgers 3 straight times, which they haven't been able to do all season long. Obviously, they didn't win a single regular season series against them. So that would be tough. It's doable, but they got to win tonight, I think. And so I think there's going to be a lot of pressure, or there is a lot of pressure on Yu Darvish tonight to deliver a very strong start, a start kind of like we saw last Friday night against the New York Mets. Do something like that. Go, what do you want? 7 innings, 1 run. I mean, he didn't walk anyone. He gave up that 1 home run, but that was it. And, Darvish, he's going to allow base runners, I think. I mean, I know he's the ace, but he is facing a very good Dodgers lineup as well that has a lot of depth. It's just a matter for me of what can he do to limit the damage in the first and like the second inning. Because whenever Darvish team, seems to struggle, it's usually the beginning of his start where he struggles. So whatever he can do to keep that from happening, I think that needs to happen. I think that's a big key to tonight. Obviously, the top 3 right out of the gate for the Dodgers, it's the toughest top 3 in baseball. I would say Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman right out of the gate. And then Will Smith, obviously, we saw last night, you make a mistake pitch like Clev did. I know he made many, but the mistake pitch to Will Smith when Nola wanted it low and away and it just floated to the middle of the plate, Will Smith can put damage on that. He can send that into the gap or send it over the wall. So he's got to be right out of the gate, if that makes sense. So I would watch for that. And so make sure to be watching at 5:30, at 5:37. right from the start. I know the Padres, they're on the road, so Darvish isn't going to be pitching at 5:37. It'll be Clayton Kershaw, and we'll get to him. But right from the start, be watching it because maybe that's the difference in the game tonight. How starting pitchers start, how each guy starts, and how they do right out of the gate. Clayton Kershaw, obviously, the TV broadcast is probably going to be drooling over him and just riding the Dodgers, right? And the Dodgers, I'll say this, I guess they do deserve to they deserve their praise, right? They won 111 games and they have Clayton Kershaw, he's a future Hall of Famer and he had a good season this year, but we know that probably excessive um praising of Clayton Kershaw is probably going to come on this broadcast. And I know I'm saying this as a biased Padres fan, but I feel like they're going to give more love to Kershaw than they will to probably Yu Darvish tonight. Now, maybe you're listening to the 97.3 The Fan broadcast, so you don't care, but I'm just throwing it out there. We know that Kershaw in the postseason, he's not the same guy as he is in the regular season. This year, in the regular season, like I said, he pitched well. He finished with a 3.8 WAR. His ERA was 2.28. His WHIP was under 1. He struck out 137 guys, but he didn't pitch a lot of innings. You look at Yu Darvish's innings, he pitched 194 and two-third innings in the regular season. Clayton Kershaw this year, 126 in the third innings. That's not close, right? So he did deal with some injuries, so maybe his arm's a little fresher. But again, Darvish is the Padres' ace, so I don't care how many innings he's thrown. He's going to have to show up tonight. The Padres lost game 1. They're down 0-1. If they lose again today, down 0-2, the series is probably over, I would think. I mean, I'm still going to be optimistic that they can, especially if they flip Snell and Musgrove. Like, if they go down 0-2, I really hope that Bomel flips Musgrove and Snell and says, no, we're going to have Musgrove go game 3 on Friday in San Diego, and we'll have Snell go game 4 if it gets there because we need the guy that we trust more on the mound in a winner-go-home game or winner-stay-home game, if that makes sense, because they're in San Diego on Friday. And that's Joe Musgrove that you go to. So, I mean, tonight it's big for Darvish. I already talked about the innings. His last outing, obviously, in the postseason was Friday, 7 innings, 1 run. Didn't walk anyone, as I mentioned earlier. Gave up that 1 home run. 6 hits. Like, he's going to give up some hits probably to the Dodgers. Look, the Dodgers are a very talented lineup, like I said a few minutes ago. But it's about limiting the guys in scoring position. If they get in scoring position or if they get on base, shutting down that inning, right? Whatever you can do, shut down that inning. I'm expecting Darvish to give up a run or maybe a couple runs, but you got to expect him to pitch like he did against the Mets this last time out, at least in that area, if that makes sense. 7 innings, 6 innings, quality start. 1 run allowed, 2 runs allowed. I prefer not 3, 2 or less runs. Get it to the bullpen, who's pitching really well right now. They pitched a shutout last night after Clev struggled, and then obviously game 3 on Sunday, Suarez and Hader locked it down. So I'm confident going into tonight's game with the pitching. The question is, can they score off of Kershaw? Is Kershaw going to have one of those playoff Kershaw moments where the end of the outing, we see the camera in the dugout and his head's down in the dugout? I obviously hope, as a Padre fan, I hope that's what we see tonight, because it has happened in the postseason before. His last postseason start was in 2020. Game 5 of the World Series, he pitched pretty well there. 5 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs. The outing before that against the Rays, October 20th in Game 1 of the World Series, 6 innings, 1 run. But look, that was in 2020. The circumstances were a little different compared to now in 2020, obviously. 2020, he pitched for a couple months and then got to go to the postseason. He had a fresher arm, right? he didn't have to do a full season. I know he's been hurt a little bit this year, so he didn't technically pitch a full season, kind of like Yu Darvish did, but it's still more innings, I would think. I can look that up. I'm going to look that up. I still think that this year he's pitched more innings than he did in 2021. Let me look here. 20 or not 2021, 2020, excuse me. 2020. Yeah, he pitched 58 and a third innings. So not even close to what he's done this year. And this year, like I said, he's dealt with some time off. So he's not as fresh as 2020. So it's just a different story. I wouldn't expect him to be as good as he was in the 2020 postseason tonight. Or maybe not tonight. Maybe he's good tonight, but just in this postseason in general. I mean, the first postseason start in 2020. Sorry. First postseason start in 2020, he went 8 innings. Like, that's not going to happen tonight. And another advantage for the Padres, I think, is the Dodgers probably aren't going to be able to throw Evan Phillips today. Dave Roberts said before the game that they're trying to stay away from him. So I think that's good. The Padres, as I mentioned, they have their top guys. They have Hader. They have Suarez. They have Garcia. All three were not used last night. And Nick Martinez could come in again. He didn't throw very many pitches last night. So they're in a very good spot pitching-wise. It's just a matter of if they can get on Clayton Kershaw tonight. And hopefully they can be aggressive right from the get-go. There's postseason starts. NLCS Game 4 in 2020, 5 innings, 4 runs allowed. 2018 World Series against Boston, Game 5, 7 innings, 4 runs allowed. Game 1 of the World Series that year, 4 innings, 5 runs allowed. Game 1 NLCS 2018 against the Brewers, 3 innings, 4 runs allowed, 5 runs in total, 4 earned. So, there's the 6 runs he allowed in the World Series 2017 Game 5 against Houston. Like, there's a lot of, and that's just some. There's a lot of circumstances, or a lot of outings, I should say, that I could bring up where Kershaw struggled. And so, I don't know if that's going to get to him tonight specifically. I feel like he's going to be pretty comfortable, but it's the Padres' job tonight to make him not comfortable, right? If they need to call time, if they want to do what they did against Chris Bassett in Game 3 and just totally mess with Kershaw, then do it, right? This isn't 2023 where they have to be in the box in 15 seconds or in 20 seconds when there's a runner on base, right? So if they want to mess with Gersh, do it. Call time. Make him uncomfortable. Make Kershaw go into his windup right when he's going into it. Call time. And just maybe piss him off. And maybe that gets him off his game if he's doing well. If you can tell, like, all right, the breaking ball's there. All right, the fastball, he's dotting it. Don't just allow him to continue carving you up and just attacking you and getting right back on the mound and going. Make him wait for a little bit, Try to get into his head. I know Kershaw, he's a veteran. I don't think you can get into his head as as easy as like Blake Snell or someone like that. But try it. If something's not working, try something else in terms of like their approach. I think out of the gate, I think their approach should be to be aggressive. And maybe you change that 2 or 3 innings in or one time through the lineup if that's not working. But letting Kershaw get ahead if he goes breaking balls early or something like that, I don't know if that's, or I do know, that's not a good recipe for success for the Padres side of things. So I think attack, pretty much like all pitchers, they're going to try to get ahead, and you got to attack. I do think it's interesting that the Padres lineup tonight, it is different. Most of it's the same, but the 1 and the 7 hitters are swapped. Ta-Sun Kim is leading off, and Jurickson Profar, he is batting 7th. I mean, I guess I can agree with that because Kim's a righty, and he has been doing well. He scored last night. He's been doing well at the plate. But I don't think Profar has been doing terrible at the plate. And the offense, I mean, it's not like they sucked last night. There were some situations where they probably should have come through where they didn't, but they did score 3 runs off of a Cy Young contender last night. They did battle back. Um, but I'm fine with it. I'm going to trust Bob Melvin more than some people because I think he knows what he's doing. It's the same group of guys as last night, at least as the starting lineup was last night. And so as long as it's the same group of guys, I'm fine. A lefty on the mound, so you figured that Josh Bell wasn't going to be in the lineup tonight, at least to start. Josh Bell's better side is as a lefty. He can switch hit, so he could play technically every day and get the better matchup, right versus left or left versus right. Today it would be left versus right with the lefty Kershaw on the mound. But he does hit better as a lefty. And Drury, he does hit the breaking ball well. I forget what stat it was, but earlier this year, I think they were showing on MLB Network who hits the breaking ball the best or something like that. And Brandon Drury was up there against lefties, definitely. So I think that's why you see Brandon Drury hitting fourth tonight, definitely over Josh Bell, DHing. And so, yeah, Kim's leading off. He's at shortstop. Soto is hitting second. He's in right field. Manny Machado, he's at third base, batting third, obviously. Drury's batting fourth, as I said. Jake Cronenworth, he's playing second base, batting fifth. Got 2 hits last night. Some people didn't want him in the lineup. I thought that we shouldn't even have a debate on that because Jake Cronenworth, I mean, he's so important to this team. He's great defensively. He plays every day. He played the most regular season games among any Padre this year, even more than Manny because Manny was out, obviously, those 9 games. Bomel, as a manager, he trusts his players. And look how that turned out with Trent Grisham in that wild card series. He went back to Trent Grisham, and Grisham performed really, really well. And by the way, Grisham has an RBI, I believe, in every game, each of the 4 games so far that the Padres have played in the postseason. So I think trust is a big thing. Bomel left Jake in the lineup last night. He gets 2 hits. He got a hit in the 9th inning, by the way, to put the tying run at the plate. Sun Kim popped up. What are you going to do? But I thought he played pretty well last night. Will Myers, he's batting 6th tonight at first base. I expect him to be better defensively. He wasn't atrocious last night defensively, but he obviously made that 1 error, and that gave the Dodgers an extra run. And you take away that extra run, it's 4-3, and maybe the strategy's different. Every guy that comes to the plate can tie the game. It's just different, Obviously, you can add in, well, if Myers, that hot shot that he hit in the 6th that ended up being a double play, if that ball's hit a few feet to the right of Lux, or to his left, the right from our view, then another run scores there, and the Padres, then it's tied, or maybe they go take the lead later in that inning. He played fine, and I think he's going to play well tonight as well. Profar, he's batting 7th, as I mentioned earlier, in left. Grish is batting 8th in center field, as he's done in every game in this postseason so far. Austin Nola, he's batting 9th, and he is catching. And that's how the Padres are lining it up. I like it. Going right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So there's not like 3 consecutive batters. Obviously, most teams try not to do that, where a reliever could come in or Kershaw could face 3 straight lefties. Like, that's not going to happen tonight with the lineup. And so that's obviously a good thing, but that's expected. Major league teams know what they're doing in terms of, matchups and stuff like that. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to put them in the chat. I forgot to say that at the beginning, my bad. If you want to support the channel, daily Padres content, you can subscribe to this channel and use the super chat button in the comments. I appreciate you guys' support. I see Jeffrey's comments there. I will get to those. Getting to the Dodgers lineup, Mookie Betts is leading off. He's in right field. This looks like the same lineup as last night. I believe it is. Maybe it's shuffled a little bit, but it's the same names, I think. Because I think Justin Turner played I think he DH'd last night. Yeah, so it's the same guys. Mookie Betts leading off in right. Trey Turner's hitting second. He's at shortstop. Freddie Freeman, he's batting third, playing first base. Will Smith batting fourth at catcher. Max Muncy playing third base again. Justin Turner, he is DHing, batting sixth. Gavin Lux, he obviously started that huge double play there in that sixth inning. He's batting seventh. Trace Thompson, he is batting eighth in left field. Cody Bellinger, he's batting ninth in center. Obviously, as I talked about on the pregame show last night, before the game, what stands out for this Dodgers lineup every time the Padres play the Dodgers, it's the depth in the order. It's the names down at the bottom of the order that you recognize, not just because you're a diehard fan of baseball, but because you know that, oh, Cody Bellinger won an MVP. He can get you at any moment. Gavin Lux, oh, he used to be a top prospect. He can get you at any moment. Boom. What happened last night when, look, I didn't like the pitch location, the pitch selection as well on the double that Gavin Lux had against Clev that knocked Clev out of the game last night in the third inning. Gavin Lux got to him. So all throughout the lineup, they can get to you. A positive was Mookie and Freddie. They didn't do much or really anything last night, but Trey Turner got to Clev last night in the first inning. So just all around this order, Will Smith got to him. There's multiple guys here that can do damage, and that's what makes the Dodgers so great. They didn't win 111 games by mistake, right? There's guys that can beat you all around the lineup, and you can't take an at-bat or a couple at-bats off and just throw balls over the middle of the plate. And you just can't take any of those guys for granted. Getting to the Padres bullpen situation again, for those just tuning in, it's good. The pitching situation, I think the Padres are favored in that department tonight. They're not favored to win the game, obviously, but they're favored in that department. Hader, he's available, hasn't thrown since Sunday. Garcia hasn't thrown since Friday. Martinez, 11 pitches yesterday. He'll be available today, I would think. Same with Tim Hill if they need him for matchups. They have the off day tomorrow. Remember that before Game 3 on Friday. So you'd think everyone will be available. They'll probably try to stay away from Steven Wilson, 37 pitches yesterday. Same thing with Pierce Johnson, 24. And with Pierce Johnson, it's not really about the pitch count, I don't think. I think it's more about, well, we're trying to go all out and win this game. And so we want Martinez, Garcia, Suarez, Hader. We want to probably go to them before we go to Johnson or anyone else, because we need to win this game. We go down 0-2, we're probably not going to win this series. So we got to win this game. We're going to go to our best relievers. There's a reason why Hader and Garcia, Suarez, they didn't pitch last night, even when it was a 2-run game. Like, they were saving them. So that's the good news going into today. The bullpen, it's in a good spot. Yu Darvish, the ace, obviously, the Padres ace, we're in a good spot with him on the mound. So I like the Padres' chances to win this game. I think they will win this game. If they don't, I'm going to be very disappointed here on the post-game reaction show, which is going to be available here, obviously, on YouTube after the game. Come join me, and we'll talk about what happened in this game. But I don't think they're going to lose tonight. I think having Darvish on the mound is an advantage over Kershaw, to be honest. Kershaw, don't know how he's going to look. He has had some time off. The Dodgers as a whole has had some time off. I know they played yesterday, obviously, against us, but they had some time off. Just don't know how that's going to affect Kershaw. And Darvish, he obviously pitched amazingly well against the Mets his first time around, and there's no reason why he can't do that this time around against the Mets or against the Dodgers. The Mets were a good lineup. They won over 100 games, and he dominated them. Dodgers, they've won over 100 games, and he can dominate the Dodgers. He can. He's done it recently this season. His last 2 starts against the Dodgers. I put this out on Twitter earlier today at Talking Friars. By the way, that's where I will have the game clips, as I always do. September 2nd, his most recent start against the Dodgers, he went 7 innings, no runs, only 2 hits, walked 2, struck out 9. August 7th, his second to last start against the Dodgers this year, 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, didn't walk anyone, struck out 5. I'll probably take either of those. Obviously, you prefer the 7 innings, no runs, because it gives you more length, and really what matters more, I'm confident in the bullpen. Even if he goes 6 shutout, okay, I'm fine with that. Um, but I'd take either of those, to be honest. Like, if he gives up 2 runs early, but he settles down, goes 6, like, I'm fine with that. I think we gotta trust the offense that they'll be able to come through against the Dodgers bullpen tonight or against Kershaw. Um, look, the Padres, they won that wild card series in part. Yeah, they had great pitching Friday, Sunday by Darvish and Musgrove, but their offense also showed up in those games on Friday and Sunday. On Friday, they hit those home runs off of Scherzer and knocked him out of the game early, right? Their offense really showed up. Their offense showed up on Sunday, and they had a lot of different contributors. They had Manny contributing, Soto. They had Grisham. They had Nola, right? They had a lot of different guys up and down the order, up all the way down the order. So um, they got to have multiple contributors, I think, tonight. I don't think it's going to be one guy necessarily. If they can, kind of copy that blueprint from Sunday, make Kershaw uncomfortable, and show off that lineup depth, that I think they can definitely win tonight's game. And that's kind of why I'm going into tonight's game being confident that they can win. Like, I'm not. I mean, I guess that you could say I'm nervous a little bit because it's just the playoffs. They're playing the Dodgers, obviously, but I'm more confident than anything, just because I feel like we have more things going right for us going into today's game than probably the Dodgers do. I know the Dodgers just won game 1, and so you could think I'm an idiot for saying that, but, just the pitching. I'm confident in the pitching, and the offense wasn't bad yesterday, I didn't think. There were some times where they didn't come through, but the Dodgers, they didn't come through for the last 5 and a third innings against the Padres pitching, you know? So, they didn't give up a hit, I think. So it's not like the Padres were the only team that didn't come through there. So, um, let's get to some matchups here. My Padre pick today, by the way, is Profar. No reason why. I mean, he doesn't have great numbers off of Kershaw, but it's just, I don't know, feeling. Maybe take moving down the order a little personally. He's going to be hitting righty off of Kershaw and go after him. Getting to the matchups, Padres against Kershaw in their careers. Manny is 9 for 35 with 3 bombs off of him. Myers is 9 for 52, so not great, 173 average, but he does have a home run off of him, but a lot of strikeouts. But he did strike out a lot in, 2016, 2017, 2018, where he didn't really have anyone around him. Cronenworth, 4 for 18 against Kershaw in his career. Brandon Drury is 3 for 20, hitting 150 off him, does have a home run. Trent Grisham is 3 for 15, does have a home run as well, obviously, in 2020, where Dave Roberts got all pissed off. I'd love to see that swag from Grisham tonight. Soto is 1 for 8. That's a small sample size. That one hit is a home run. Like Kershaw, he will give up home runs. You just got to capitalize on that home run pitch, right? Nola's 1 for 10. Josh Bell, if he gets in, 0 for 5. So that's the matchups against Kershaw. Dodgers against Darvish, Freddie Freeman, 7 for 22, 2 home runs. Trey Turner, 6 for 17 with a home run. Max Muncy is 5 for 25, 4 singles, a double, 11 strikeouts. Mookie, 5 for 26, so that's not that great. He does have a home run, though, as well. Justin Turner, 4 for 22. Gavin Lux, 2 for 10. Will Smith, 2 for 15. Bellinger, 2 for 14. Trace Thompson, 0 for 1. There's no history really there. So those are the matchups of starting players for the Dodgers against Darvish. Kind of gone through everything, so I'll finish it off with the chat here. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, obviously. We'll start at the top here with Jeffrey. Says, hoping for a bounce-back game. Felt better that they didn't roll over. Still wanted the win, though. Obviously, yeah, I agree. I like they didn't roll over. I like that they were still playing that fundamentally good offensive team baseball there in those runs off of Urias. Yeah, you had the Myers home run. Uh, they're going to have to hit home runs if they're going to want to advance still, because home runs help you win. But sac fly from Nola, the grounder to first, like just getting guys over, getting them in however you can. That's what happened a little bit last night. So I was encouraged by that. I agree. Jeffrey also says, need you to have a start like the last time he played here. I agree with that. Christopher says, let's hope Kershaw, his performance, his postseason demons follow him again. We need to see us set the tone early. Yeah, I agree. Kind of like I said earlier. I know I'm kind of behind on the comments, but yeah, just making him feel a little uncomfortable early. If he doesn't have it early, realize that and get on him. I agree. Jeffrey says, it will be interesting if we do make it to game 5, how Bomel goes at it. Obviously, jumping ahead, but will be an interesting decision. If they do get to a game 5, and yeah, we are jumping ahead, I would probably go Darvish on 3 days rest. And you could have Musgrove out of the bullpen or Snell out of the bullpen or whatever. Or maybe you just don't want to do that and you're confident in the bullpen as is, and I am confident in it, so maybe that's what they would do. I would not throw Clevenger out there, obviously, again. I'd be hesitant to put Manaea in that spot. He hasn't pitched in a while. Hasn't pitched in the postseason yet for the Padres. So I think you go with your ace. I think you want your ace out there, even if it is on short rest, and he gives you whatever he can give you in a winner-take-all game to beat the Dodgers to go to NLCS. Like, you put it all out there on the line, and then you go to the bullpen after that. But, yeah, it will be an interesting thing to talk about, and it'll be interesting to see how Bomel does go about that if the Padres get to a Game 5. JD's third says, as great as the bullpen was last night, the Dodgers bullpen did not allow a run, and they still have premium arms available. They were second best in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I mean, it feels like that's kind of how they are every year. Like, they have these arms that some fans, casual fans, definitely have never heard of. Maybe some fans haven't heard of Evan Phillips or guys like that. But every year they come up and they perform. So, yeah, I'm not like discrediting the Dodger bullpen when I say that I think the Padres bullpen's better than them, or I'm more comfortable in the Padres bullpen. I like that. I think they have an advantage there. I'm just looking at it from the Padres bullpen. Robert Suarez, he hasn't given up a run since August. Hader's locked in. Martinez, the whole bullpen last night that pitched looked good. Suarez and Hader looked good on Sunday against the Mets. Like, I'm just judging it off of what I've seen recently in postseason games. And you could say that about the Dodgers as well. But I guess I'm looking at it from, the Padre perspective, and sure, I guess I'm biased. Um, yeah, I think, Christopher says here the Dodger bullpen is annoyingly great. Yeah, I mean, they didn't have Craig Kimbrell on the roster because of how inconsistent he was, so they believe in the rest of their guys. It's a tough matchup, regardless of who's pitching or um, who's coming out of the bullpen. It's going to be tough for the Padres offense, but I'm confident in this team, the way that they're lined up tonight. This is a fair point by JD's third. Says Kershaw's been locked down. The postseason troubles can be said about you, Darvish, as well. Kershaw has been dominant lately, especially against us. Well, he hasn't pitched against us lately. I mean, what's your version of lately? Let me look up Kershaw's game logs. I know he has good career numbers against the Padres, and he might even have. I think he has good numbers this year against the Padres. But his last start against the Padres came July 3rd. The team was totally different July 3rd. He has not faced this version of the Padres yet. So I think you can kind of throw the Kershaw has been dominant lately thing against the Padres out the window there, because it's not the same team. It's not the same team, and the Padres offense is they're hitting well together, throughout the lineup. Most of them. Mikey says, I hope your Padres beat and sweep the Dodgers in this series. Well, they can't do that. From a diehard Giants fan. Well, thank you for rooting for the Padres. They can't sweep the Dodgers because obviously they lost game one. But they could win the next 3 games. What would it be? It would be Darvish tonight, obviously. Snell, game 3, and then Musgrove game 4. They have a chance to win all 3 of these games. I don't know how likely that is because the Dodgers are a very good team on the other side of things. But they have a chance to sweep the next 3 games, but they can't sweep the series, obviously. J Sab says we need to score first. That's one of the biggest things. I agree. Playing from behind is hard for us to do. Yeah. I mean, look what the common theme was, right? Friday and Sunday. Friday against the Mets, they got on Scherzer. They won that game. Sunday against the Mets, they got on Bassett. Won that game, right? They got out to that 2-0 lead with Nola. They won that game. And they had good starting pitching behind that. So if you follow that same formula tonight, get on Kershaw early and Darvish pitch as well, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to win tonight. Jay Hill asks, what are your thoughts on the switch to Kim leading off? I don't have a ton of thoughts on it. He's been playing well. Lefty on the mound, and they probably like Kim as a righty more than Profar as a righty, I guess. And so that's what they're doing. Or maybe they want Profar as a switch hitting option down later in the lineup based on bullpen matchups later in the game. Because they're thinking about that as well. We're probably thinking more about like the starting pitcher. They're thinking about specific bullpen matchups and who's probably available for the Dodgers tonight and who's not. And so they probably want a switch hitter down, I would think. Um, Thank you for the super chat, JD's third. I appreciate that. Anyone else, if you want to support the channel, you can do exactly what he just did and use that super chat button. He says, I hope Bo Mel manages better tonight. Go for the win. Obviously, they're going for the win. They were trying to go for the win last night, but I think they did realize that it's not the end of the world that they lost game 1. The wild card series, it's not the end of the world, but it's almost the end of the world that if they lost game 1 to the Mets, right? Because then they would have had to win game 2 with Snell on the mound and game 3. That's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself. Like the Mets couldn't do that, right? After losing game 1. This series, I mean, getting down 1-0, yeah, that sucks. And you're playing a very good team, a team that's better than the Mets, but you do still have that extra couple games potentially of wiggle room, right? But yeah, they're definitely going for the win. And Bomel, there were some thoughts. Yeah, some people didn't like Bomel's managing in that 3rd inning. You know, him taking out Clevenger when he did. Some fans thought that he should have been taken out earlier. But as I said on my reaction episode last night after the game, I came with the opinion of, hey, I mean, is it too much to expect Clevenger to get through 3 innings? Is it too much to ask for Mike Clevenger to get to 3 innings? And we've seen this is what Bomel has done all year. Like, if I'm going to like when he trusts his starters, then I can't like totally go bash him when he decides to try to trust him just for 3 innings. It's not like it was the 6th inning. If it was the 6th inning, I understand. But you can't get through the lineup twice at all, you know? Like Kleb, just should have been better. And right after Kleb gave up that double to Lux, he went to the bullpen. And there were some other things. We can't all blame it on Bomel leaving in Clevenger for a few batters there. Like, there were some other things that happened last night that contributed to the Padres losing that game. There were some times where the Padres offense didn't come through. There was the Myers error that tacked on another run that made it harder, right? That didn't put the tying run at the plate every time for the rest of the game, right? It was a 2-run game instead of 1. You had that 6th inning where you had 1st and 2nd and no outs and no runs scored. right? You had Josh Bell strike out. It's going to happen. And you had Will hit a bullet to second base. That's baseball. Hit it right to him. He did his job, hit it hard, hit it right to him. And double play, that's it. And literally, that's it. Like, that was the game there. So if some of those things would have went right, Padres maybe could have won that game even with how Bomel managed there in that third inning. Jay Sav says, everyone wants to talk about what we did in the regular season, but our roster is completely different since the trade deadline. We've been a brand new team since then. Yeah, I agree. I mean, not since the trade deadline, like they did struggle after the trade deadline, let's be honest. But they are playing, I get your point. They are playing much better than they were, right after the trade deadline when they were struggling and Soto was in that big slump, right? And Hader was sucking, right? They're a different team. They had a tremendous series against the Mets, 2 of those 3 games, definitely. And they hung in there last night. It doesn't matter what they did against the Dodgers in the regular season. It doesn't matter what Kershaw did against the Padres in July this year, right? Only some of those guys are in the lineup. And we could see a totally different Kershaw tonight. He could just suck. Christopher says, would love to see us fight off more pitches too. We need to make the opposing pitchers work more, even if resulting in an out. I agree with that a little bit. I think you're just talking about you'd like to see some guys not watch first pitch strikes or something like that. Like if it's a first pitch strike and they're going to swing and they get out, I'm not going to get mad at them really for that. Especially if it's like a fastball first pitch and they're being aggressive. I'm not going to get mad at that. It's more like when they watch pitches or strike 3 looking, obviously. Yeah, those obviously piss me off. JD's third, good point here. Team that wins game 1 in 5-game series wins 74% of the time. We need to play smarter in the playoffs. The lack of experience is a killer. I don't know if the lack of I think you're overplaying the lack of experience, to be honest. Like, there's experienced guys on this team. Manny Machado, he's been to a World Series. I don't think he's scared of the moment. I don't think he, uh, chokes in the moment, right? Juan Soto, he's definitely not scared of the moment, right? They did just go into New York in a playoff series where it was, the night game, the primetime game. There was pressure on them in game 3 to win that game, obviously. Winner take all. There was pressure on them in game 1 or at least game 2 to win one of those 2 games, and they did win game 1. So, I mean, that's some pretty good playoff experience there. That's not World Series experience, but playoff experience is playoff experience. Big game experience is big game experience, I think. And when you get into the batter's box, you don't say, oh no, this is the World Series, and then you just don't swing. Like, you're still just battling the pitcher, right? Same thing for our pitchers against opposing hitters. I think the lack of experience in the playoffs, I think that gets over talked about, overemphasized. You just got to play better baseball if you don't win, right? You just make fewer mistakes than the Dodgers. The Padres made more mistakes last night than the Dodgers, and the Dodgers won. Thank you again for the super chat. JD's third says, Ben, we don't have the luxury of waiting in the playoffs. I understand that, but if you look at the situation, right? Yesterday, the Dodgers had their ace on the mound, Julio Urias. The Padres had their 4-starter because they had to use their top 3 guys in the wild card series against the Mets over the weekend. If you're just looking at the pitching matchup, who should win that game? The team with the ace or the team with their 4-starter? It should be the team with their ace, and that team did win. You look at tonight's matchup. Dodgers don't have their ace on the mound. I know Kershaw's still good, but the Padres have Yu Darvish, who just went 7 innings against the Mets in the wild card series. Who do you think should win that game? I think it's the Padres. I know they're not favored, but if they win today, I don't think the fan base is going to be pissed off as much still that, oh, we didn't win game 1. Like, it turns into a best of 3 and you take your chances. It comes back home, you take your chances with Snell and then Musgrove games 3 and 4, and you see where that takes you. I understand that. No, I know it's the playoffs. You don't have the luxury of waiting. But, I mean, Bomel, he was urgent. He didn't allow Clev to go through 3 innings. And, again, there were things other than Clev that went wrong last night that contributed to the Padres losing by 2 runs. And some of it was something, it just happened. It's just baseball. It wasn't anyone's fault. That's just what happened. JD's third again says, yesterday you could tell which team had urgency and which hadn't been there since 2006. Well, that's not true. The Padres were there in 2020. I mean, to be honest, I think Dave Roberts had too much urgency with Julio Urias. I know that the move worked out, but pulling your ace at like 79 pitches last night through just 5 innings, I thought that was too early. I feel like he was trying to have too much urgency there, but they won the game, so it worked. The Padres had urgency. They just didn't win. And they pretty much had to go with Clevenger as the starter last night. And then they went to the bullpen, and the bullpen pitched 5+ shutout innings. I agree. Padres can't have the lineup go top of the lineup 1 for 15 again. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they will. I think they'll come through. But like in that 6th inning, for example, Manny and Soto got on. They did their jobs technically. They got on. And Bell struck out, and Myers hit it right to someone. That's baseball. All right. Any more questions, any more comments, or else I will get out of here. Again, 5:37 is the first pitch. Braves and Phillies is scheduled to start at like 4:30. I think that's going to be on Fox. Winner of that series obviously plays the winner of this series in the NLCS. If the Phillies win that series, Padres win this series, Padres will have home field advantage in the NLCS. That would be pretty dang cool, huh? And Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies tonight, and Kyle Wright on the mound for the Braves. Phillies lead that series 1-0. Braves attempted a comeback, couldn't get it. 7-6 was the final yesterday. Then the Padres obviously lost 5-3 last night, and hopefully they can get a win tonight. That's going to do it. The Talking Friars pregame show for Game 2 of the NLDS. Padres-Dodgers. FS1 is where you can watch this game. 97.3 The Fan is where you can listen to this game. October 12th, 2022 is the date. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back after tonight's game with a post-game reaction. And I'll have the clips at Talking Friars on Twitter. Also on Instagram, same username, at Talking Friars. Thank you so much. Ben Fadden signing off. Go Padres. Enjoy the game tonight. See ya.